The breath flows out naturally, and then the breath flows in naturally. Now after the breath flows out, what happens? After the breath flows in, what happens? Now we're talking about natural. You're not forcing or you're not manipulating. You're just watching. Breath is going out. What happens? Breath is coming in. What happens after that? Now watch for a while. Now release the eyes and look at me. Now tell me, what happened to the breath? It stopped. After you exhale, sit back in normal position. The rest stay. Now when you have exhaled, after exhalation there was a gap, isn't it? After inhalation there was a gap. Come back to normal. The rest stay. Exhale, there was a gap. Inhale, there was a gap. This is how one does witnessing of the breath. That whatever happens, that when you are breathing, will you find that sometimes it is longer, sometimes it is shorter, sometimes it is faster, sometimes it is slower. Will you find this? You will find this. When this happens, would you rectify it to make it same? That is no more witnessing. That is interfering. When we talk about witnessing, it has to be complete. When the breath changes, you must not react. When there is no changes, when there are no changes, no reaction. When the breath stops, what do you do? What to do? You cannot react. Gone. When the breath stops, what happens to you? Huh? Not in Kriya. I don't want you to die in Kriya. Okay, what happens is that even though you are centered, you want to live in Samadhi, but it's not the right time, and especially not in our yoga center. Now, when we are observing the breath, eventually there would be a time, sometimes quite a number of times in class, where the breath would stop completely. Don't react, don't have any fear, you just watch, and after a few seconds you'll find that, hey, I can continue in this state. I can still continue. 1 minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 4 minutes, 5 minutes, it can continue. This kumbhaka, this holding of breath, naturally holding the breath, not through willpower, naturally the breath stops, it can go on for a long time. In science, it says that if there is no breath for 3 minutes, it exceeds 3 minutes, what will happen? There would be a brain damage. Irreversible. Cannot reverse it. If 3 minutes there is no oxygenation supplied to the brain would be damaged to such an extent that you cannot reverse it. Okay. That would be incidences where someone is drowning. More than 3 minutes, if you save them, there would be a permanent damage to their brain. These are the situations. Now, are you worried about this during here? When you see 3 minutes, there is no breath. And then 4th minute, 5th minute, there is no breath. Are you worried? In the 4th minute and 5th minute, if you are worried, then there is no brain damage. When you are sitting, Fair enough. I want you to test it. If after the 3rd minute you still worried about brain damage, then it's not damaged. And you can continue. You know what happens is that you are thinking that there is no breath, but actually the breath is flowing. It is very subtle, it cannot be traced. Consciously, you're not able to trace it. But you have this voluntary system and involuntary system. Voluntary is something that I use my hand. Involuntary would be my heartbeat. It happens by itself. Breathing happens by itself. There is a superficial voluntary, there is a subtle involuntary. Superficial, which you can see. Involuntary. Breath is both voluntary and involuntary, right? When you are sleeping, it is still going on. If I ask you to do pranayama or kriya, you are able to control it. So breath is both voluntary and involuntary. Heartbeat? Heartbeat. Can you ask the heartbeat to stop? I mean, very dangerous. Can you make it fast? Can you manipulate this? Now today, okay, slow down. Tomorrow a bit faster. Can you? So it is involuntary digestive system. Not digest faster, I want to eat more. Huh?
Some yogi can slow down their heartbeat.
Yes. But no, I mean in biology, it's involuntary, isn't it? By training, it can be made voluntary. So these are involuntary reflexes. Breathing is both voluntary and involuntary. In order to reach control over the involuntary, we practice pranayama. We practice the breathing techniques because through the breath, we can reach the involuntary. Through this voluntary breathing, we can reach control over the involuntary. As what Dina said, through this practice, we can even reach the heartbeat. We can reach the digestive system. We can reach the unconscious mind. Now tell me another part of your anatomy which is both involuntary and voluntary. Don't tell me mouth. Suddenly I eat, automatically start to eat. Voluntary. Sometimes I have to eat. Sometimes my hand just gets it while watching TV. I don't know I'm eating. I'm just eating. It's involuntary. No, it's not that. Or talking. Sometimes I talk nonsense. It's not me. I actually didn't talk about it. It's not me. It's involuntary. Not acceptable. Even the court won't accept. Tell me one more part. Blinking. Yes, blinking. I can blink. This is voluntary. And the other times is involuntary. Involuntary. So there was this case where this boy was caught, a teenager was caught, and looking at this girl in the school. The father caught him. He said, "Why are you winking at my daughter?" It's involuntary. So it's acceptable, no? Because involuntary and voluntary, right? Okay. So that's why when we practice Kriya, the eyelids are moved, eyeballs are being moved, because you want to gain management over the involuntary. The eyelid movement and the breath are tools to reach the involuntary. Now your thoughts are what? Voluntary or involuntary? Involuntary, right? They just come. You don't want it to come, it comes. True or not? There are some thoughts which you don't want to come in your life. The more you don't want, the more they come. Right? And the thoughts which you want to come, you want to make the thoughts come. How to be a billionaire? You want those thoughts to come, they don't come. So it is definitely involuntary. It has its own life. Through this breath awareness, eyelids control, we will reach the involuntary states of the different zones of the body, physiology, and also the psychological parts which are involuntary, gain control. We can gain control over this, and then we can extract that which we want. This is good news. Which means, after Kriya, and after mastering Kriya, done in the right way, there would be improvement in the overall functioning of your anatomy and physiology. Number one, there would be an overall improvement in the management of your mind and thoughts. There would be an overall improvement in the relationship you have with the world and the people who you live with, and there would be an overall improvement in your career. There would be, and if you are doing work for someone, they would immediately see some tremendous improvement in the way you function. It will be very noticeable. So Manduki. So it's not only about Kundalini awakening. Kundalini awakening essentially will translate into a very successful life. If you are doing business, what is the single most important ingredient to be a successful business person, an entrepreneur? What is that one thing which can make you a very successful person? It's not hardworking, no. I have seen people who work 24 hours a day, business people who are still the same, still having that one shop lot. I have seen people who seem like not working at all, traveling all the time, enjoying themselves, and just having time with the family, going outdoors and all that. Every time there's a lot of money coming into their bank account. So what is that? It's not hard work, but still work is needed. It's not intelligence. Intelligence in the sense that most of them don't have any PhDs, not even masters, just maybe high school or college dropouts. Look at Lim Gautam. But don't say this when your parents ask you to study. Say, Lim Gautam, he didn't read what? He didn't study. Those days different. Nowadays you need proper education. So it is not all this beauty. You need to be beautiful. Are all the richest people in the world beautiful? Some have no hair. It's not that. What is it? Tell me. Just one. Creativity. That's all you need. Creativity will explode. You will have lots of creative ideas. And that is what we need, isn't it?